everyone. Happy New Year to you. It's been a while since we had a conversation. I am so excited to be here. I thank God for life. I thank God for getting me into this new year with my family, my friends. We thank God that we are well, and I hope you're all well. Happy New Year once again. I'm so excited. Thank you for following. Thank you for viewing our channel. Thank you for following us. We're overwhelmed with the comments that we receive from you. We're so excited that we're making a difference. It really excites me. I get calls from all over the world, and I feel so happy that we are making a difference. Thank you so much. I thank my team, Emanzi team, for also sticking together. It's not easy when you're starting, but they've been patient. They've endured so much. And I want to thank our sponsors, Serena Hotels. Thank you for keeping us going. We attribute so much to you as well. I am here today at Bekunda Recovery Home. It's a recovery home for people who abuse alcohol and substances. Bekunda is he's changing a lot in society. Actually, he's trying to let society know and be aware that we have a problem and we need to resolve it if we are going to have a generation that is functioning or a future generation that is going to function. There's a lot of substance abuse, there's a lot of alcohol abuse, and it's going unnoticed, it's not being paid attention to, and yet we have to deal with it so that we have a future for all these people, for our children, for even adults that are also doing it. And this at the end, of course, if someone is under substance abuse, if someone is taking alcohol more than they should take, of course productivity goes down. It goes down to zero. And you find there's nothing much they can do for themselves, thus affecting entrepreneurship, in affecting any project you'd want to start because you are not sober in your mind. And that's why I thought that he should come on board, because much as we're talking about entrepreneurship, some people have the will, but they don't have the capacity because they are under all that we're talking about. They're under what Bill is going to talk about, and yet we need to help them. Bill was a victim, once a victim, so he's going to talk from experience and also tell you that it's not the end of the world. You can actually get out of it, and you can do something for yourself in the long run. I hope you stay tuned. For me, it's an exciting topic because it's something that is less said in society, and yet it's very, very vital. Um, I hope you all pay attention to Bill. You might have family, you might have friends that need help. And let me tell you, once it has started, it's not going to go away just like that. They need help. Bill is here under Bekunda Recovery Homes, under Bekunda World, and he's going to tell us how it all starts. How do you notice? How do you know that you've crossed the line? And how can we get help for either ourselves or for our family or for our friends? Bill, welcome to my channel.
Yes. Um, Hi, I am Bill Bani Bekunda. I am an alcoholic in long-term recovery. I went into rehabilitation for a substance abuse disorder in 2004, and I've since been in my recovery program. It has not been an easy ride. Along the way, it was a major relapse. About 7 years into recovery, but I got back myself into the feet, and it's because of that relapse that I actually decided to engage fully in helping people who have. the same kind of problem that I faced, and so that I can take them through the steps of recovery like the ones I'm going through myself. That is me. I run Bekunda Recovery Homes, which is an aftercare center. They're aftercare homes. It's not a center per se. They are homes for people who have been through rehabilitation, for substance abuse, because usually when somebody has been in treatment, they come and fall back straight into society, a society which hasn't yet understood them, which is still stigmatized, which still believes that the person is the same the way they came, they are still pretending and things of that nature. So it's more like reintegrating them to help them understand how to live amongst people, how to understand them practically, and also to encourage them to be productive. We have seen issues where people come out of treatment, uh, from rehabilitation, particularly, and when they reach home, they are they spend the whole day sleeping, and the family fears to talk to them. They be like, if we say anything, this person will now go back. So they let them fall back into their previous behaviors of being, idle, non-productive, sleeping, being pushed to do this and the other, being petted. And then when a person stays in that prolonged state of doing nothing and still expecting to be taken care of, and they cannot meet their expectations, the biggest thing that happens is that they lapse. And so it's very important. But I also do work in rehabilitation at Safe Places Uganda Treatment Center, which is in Chamboko, which is rehabilitation and treatment for mental health conditions. Uh, Basically, that's me in a nutshell, if I may put it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now we need to understand
Mhm.
what is what is abuse, what is alcohol abuse and substance abuse and mental health.
Okay. Mental health, people think is talking about human beings that have lost it,
Yeah.
that totally can't understand.
I wonder.
Yes, but I will say that mental health is simply like saying physical health. If somebody asks you, how is your physical health? You know, are you fit? Is your body in order? So it is the same with the mind. Mental health is the well-being of the mind, your thought processes, your responses, your behavior. That is mental health.
Okay.
Yes. Then alcohol abuse and alcohol and other substance abuse is basically the use of a psychoactive substance which is out of control. When you use, you abuse it. If you're supposed to stop after, say, if it's alcohol, you're supposed to stop after taking 3 or 4 because they're made you drunk, you continue and take 6, 7, 10. It is about, uh, losing your mind. It's about doing things you don't know ordinarily do. Basically, we are saying that it is the improper use of alcohol or other drugs.
Yeah.
Yes. But when we talk about the problem, which is addiction to substances, it goes beyond abuse. Abuse means that you use it wrongly.
Yeah.
There is problem drinking, which simply means that every time you drink, there are problems that follow you. Something was wrong. Is that way you cannot supposed to be done? Then there is social drinking, which is, drinking for occasion. There is no problem with that. You drink when there's an occasion, you take a glass of wine when needed, when you feel like you want to. Some people, it's there is that is social drinking. There is absolutely no problem that precedes it, and you can control the amount and levels that you take. If you take drugs without prescription, for instance, even medication without prescription, if you take more than is necessary, that is considered abuse. You're actually abusing it. You're using it wrongly. Then there is addiction. Addiction is characterized by the loss of control. You lose control over the use, and it becomes the priority. It's the priority over your relationships. It's the priority over your decision making. It's the priority over your mood. It's the priority, or I mean, over your entertainment. Basically, you need it to be happy. You need it when you're sad. You need it for confidence. You need it to work. You need it to for so many things. And different people are addicted in different ways. So it is never the same. One person will be addicted and they'll be functional, they are able to go to work, but then they have to drink throughout the day. For instance, another person would be addicted but is dysfunctional, who is the kind of person I was. When you drink, you're unable to work or do anything. So basically, the difference is in the results. Eventually, what happens
What happens after you have
after you have drunk
consumed?
or used? Yeah.
Okay. So, what makes people get into such states?
Okay.
What do you think is the cause?
Mm. Now, I like to use myself as the example because I'm an alcoholic in long-term recovery. I started drinking in my senior two. It was the teenage thing to do, at the time. Ride or go do this and the other, drink a bit. It was supposed to be for fun. It was supposed to, just to be for fun. Something happened along the way as I continued drinking. One, I liked it, I enjoyed it, I started depending on it. By the time I was finishing my secondary school, I was having trouble. I got my first suspension related in my senior four. I got expelled during my final exams during the senior six. All through university, I was just, falling on streets. It doesn't matter that I was abroad. And when I came back, also, I was just drinking and falling in gutters, causing chaos at home. You know, when I started in my senior two, I didn't sign up for that. I did not start with knowledge that I'll end up with a problem. I did not start alone. We started a couple of young people, and not all of them ended up with a problem. Some ended up becoming dependent on the drug, on alcohol, but not necessarily alcoholics. What do I mean? Dependent, meaning that I cannot perform certain functions without using it. Basically, I'm going for a party. Question is there a booze? It's not. I can't go for that party. You're dependent on it to enjoy a ceremony. Some people are dependent on it to, you know, to release their stress. Without drink, they cannot relieve their stress. So you find that they go and they use it when they have stress. Same thing as someone would be dependent on medication for certain actions. I can't sleep, and the person only sleeps with using sleeping pills. They are not addicted, but they are dependent on it. The problem with dependence is that there is a thin line between being dependent and addicted. So it simply can cross over if something goes wrong. The loss of a job, you become idle. You're dependent on it to relieve your stress. Now you're more consistently stressed. Now you drink more. Then what the drug does, it changes the mental structure of your brain. When it changes the mental structure, it means that the way your brain is structured to work now ceases and you start using a different format too. So now you become addicted because the brain can only function when the drug is in. When you don't put in the drug, you get the withdrawal symptoms, the sickness, the anxiety, the depression, the anger, the moods, the all those things. So when that happens, then you know, you cannot stop unless you are stopped. That is when you need an intervention. So the intervention will then come in, which is in form of counseling, meeting with a professional, a psychiatrist, psychologist, to help you understand what needs to be done. Then they change your mindset. Again, they change your mental structure back to what originally it was. So then what happens is that you have to be off the drug so that you can
So
start
that you reboot.
yeah, you actually start a new pathway of thinking and actions as opposed to the one which you have developed now. Yeah.
So do you think that mental health, because like you said, it all comes with the mind. It starts with the mind. But um, mental health,
Mm.
like how can someone control, like when you know that I am beginning not to be usual,
Mm.
how can I help myself before I actually cross that line?
Okay. With mental issues, I hope that's an okay way to mention it. But with mental issues, it's difficult for you to help yourself because it's other people who see what is wrong with you, not
You don't
you.
actually.
There are some which you feel, but you'll always downplay them. For instance, you are depressed. Someone will tell you, but you have depression. And you'll be like, I don't have depression. I feel low. Or it's because this and this has happened. I've lost a relative, or my job is stressful, or so
Yet you're actually
you are
depressed.
actually depressed. And someone will look at you and say, but you have changed. And you'll be like, yeah, it's just this small issue. It's unlike physical health. Physical health, you'll probably start losing weight. You can get lesions or something on your body. You can get a wound or something, and then someone will see the change. A mental problem, you don't see the physical. It is reflected in your behavior. It's reflected uh, in your response. People start sometimes neglecting themselves. They don't care. They're no longer hygienic. They no longer care how they look when they go to work, or if they go to work at all. They resign because or they even dive into work to avoid social activity, or that is how it is seen. So helping yourself is when you have been made aware, and also the severity of the mental challenge that you're facing also matters. Because if you have reached a point of denial and you say, no, 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 and you're blaming it on something else or
Yeah,
somebody else,
yeah.
then usually that the intervention has got to be from others, and sometimes forcefully, because you can't see it. Sometimes people start enjoying living in their mental
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
They actually enjoy the depression because it's now releasing, some chemicals in the brain that make you feel it is necessary, it is worth it to be depressed. Yeah, people should see that I am mourning. You've lost somebody, now you want to mourn the person
That's
forever.
what I don't understand.
Yes.
That some people, even when you try to be there for them, or you try to intervene and show your concern, no, you're the one with the problem. For them, they're okay.
Yes.
Where they are, let me, and they don't want to see anyone, and they're locked up, and they feel they're fine.
Exactly. That is because now you see that is what is giving them the comfort. They have decided sometimes
To
in that
shut
case,
down.
now you shut out people because they are going to tell you things you don't want to hear. So why not to be in my own world and live in the imagination that's within my head? You see, it's mental. It's in the head. You create a lot of the effect. That's why we use psychologists. Psychologists don't give you injections, they don't give you tablets, they don't know. They give you information. They share with you, they show you this is what it is. So they change the way you think. You see what I'm saying? So when a person holds back to themselves. They have found a comfort zone. Whatever they have chosen, if someone has chosen to lash out and be an angry person, it gives them some kind of happiness. You see what I
And
mean?
some are extremely emotional and sensitive and
Yes,
paranoid, and if the slightest thing creates such a big problem for them. And I'm like,
yes.
is she sick? Is she okay? You know, you keep asking, is this person fine?
Hmm.
Because the slightest of anything becomes a big issue for them.
Yes.
And yet they're actually sick
Hmm.
and need help.
Yeah.
So, what happens when you have realized this person has mental issues?
Hmm.
This person is abusing alcohol.
Hmm.
Like the way they take the alcohol is no longer the normal range.
Hmm.
And this person is maybe on drugs.
Hmm.
How do we start helping them with let's say under Bekunda world,
Hmm.
we've brought these people to you. Because by the time we bring them to you, we are really hoping that we'll get them back the way they were before. So I have brought you my person, Bill, help me. It's, I mean, she's a mother, she's wild, she's in drugs, she's drinking too much. Please help us. How do you start?
Yes. The very first thing to do is to make an assessment.
Mm,
You get a background of the person's issues. You get to know their, you know, you get to know how they respond to certain actions, certain situations, and it is from that, the length of time they have been at it, and when it changed, when you started observing it, and then you know what is appropriate for them. Do they need a psychiatric evaluation? Maybe it is not. Now this is not normal behavior. This is clinical. This is a little bit too much.
too much.
Is it simply behavior? How deep is it? How much of the denial is there? You see what I'm saying? Usually in Uganda, because we are not yet so advanced, by the time anybody brings somebody for help, they have reached a level where someone needs to be inside rehabilitation, where somebody needs to be in a place where they are kept away from accessing whatever it is that they needed to, so that they can be in one place, observed and helped. So they are observed when they spend time off the drug. That is when you have a better observation. You are 100% sure that this person is not using. That is why they are locked in and cannot access the world. And then, if it is not, that heavy, then that is when you can have an outpatient, say, program whereby you say, okay, let's meet together over a couple of weeks, a month or two, and I will be making an assessment as we go on, observing the person, how they are feeling, how they are progressing, if it's getting worse or better, how are they managing to stay off the drug or the alcohol, or if not. Then there is the outpatient. How do I speak about that? Oh. Then there is the outpatient option, whereby somebody will not have to be inside the rehabilitation center, but you can have a program with them for a couple of weeks, to observe and see how they are managing. Are they managing the way they drink or use? Have they decreased? Have they been able to decrease or stop? How are they responding to society, to people around them? How are their moods? And you meet them occasionally, depending on what you feel that they need. There are some you need to meet, say, twice a week, three times a week, once a week. For short periods of time, because you can't spend too long with a person. An hour usually is recommended. And also they can, if they need other kinds of therapies, for instance, do you need occupational therapy, how to manage work, how to be relational at work,
Yeah.
do you need physiotherapy,
Yeah.
do you need the massage things, do you need to do exercise, how are you doing that, that would be the outpatient. Then there are those whom you'd be like, okay, I think they were just beginning to develop a problem, and you just agree with them on when you feel a certain way, come and come and check in and have a word. You know. So there is also those that would go in for a detox, which is simply a week or two inside the facility where they cannot to a hospital, where they are given medical assistance in getting rid of the withdrawals that come after heavy use. And then, after that, you can assess them and see what they need. But basically, when a person walks in and they want help, I start by making an assessment of what is the problem, and then yes, and then I recommend what I believe you need. It is now up to the person or the family to proceed with. Right.
And after that, especially for those who are really, really deep into whatever it is,
Mhm.
how do you, maybe you finish assessing and you're like, these guys are really, they really need help.
Mhm.
How do you start the process of getting them out after the assessment?
Yeah, there are two scenarios. They are willing or they are unwilling. If they are willing, you will tell them what to do, and they will
Do it
do
because
it.
they want
They
help.
want it. Those ones usually haven't reached. They haven't. They are not yet severely affected. Then there is the unwilling. That is where a forced intervention has to take place. A forced intervention is effected if a person is a danger to themselves or to others. Somebody, for instance, may be functionally an addict. They can drink, smoke, and take heavily on a daily from morning to evening, or even only in the evenings, and they're able to work, but their health has deteriorated. The doctor said if you don't stop, you're going to die. The complications will get worse. You're diabetic, you're this or the other. Yes. Then the person is putting their life in jeopardy. So you need to force an intervention to get them into a place where they have no choice and they can be stopped. Then there are those who are a danger to others. They are violent, they are, performing criminal activities because of the influence of the drug they are using. These ones usually, sometimes the law will catch up on them, but if the person say, has been brought to you, or even the person has refused to come, even to get to do to for an assessment, or even just to meet with a counselor or someone, or me, particularly as I'm talking about myself, then that is when you use other means of force to get them in. The family can bundle him up. You can get the law involved. You can get a court order. Or if it is urgent, you can simply get the police to intervene. Say, somebody is being violent right now. You get police to go pick him up and take him to a facility. Usually, what happens is after they have been in the facility, after the detox, they usually comply because the problem is usually when they're under intoxication. But yeah,
But
that
when
is
they're
what
out of
happens.
it and you see that they are okay, they are normal people.
They are normal people.
Oh,
They are always normal
not that they
as
are
long as they are
normal.
not
Yeah, when they
intoxicated.
are not intoxicated.
Yes, and that is the complexity with this problem. And that is why it is taken to be a moral problem because it seems like the person is intentionally
Yeah,
causing
yeah,
other
yeah,
people
yeah,
heartache.
yeah.
Yet it is actually not. You will sit with a person who has got an addiction problem in the morning and you agree. They are remorseful, they are even angry at themselves for the mistake they have made, and they will agree with that we will never do this again. Guess what happens in the next 6 hours? The cravings have taken over. He would be like, this is a denial. Let me just go and take a little bit to calm myself down. As soon as I take a little bit, they lose control.
Mm,
Then you find the person in
mm,
exactly the same mess that brought
mm.
him into that problem again. And then that is why it is taken to be a moral problem.
So when they're in recovery, no, when they're in not recovery in the what is it called? Okay, like the period when you're getting them out to recovery.
Mm.
What kind of how long do you usually give them like to see if they'll get out of that state?
It's observation, really. There are standards which are put in place. We say we have uh, detox, which is usually between, depending on the severity, 1 week, 2 weeks, a month,
Trying to, I mean, to
just to get the
the
drug out of the
other
system
system.
with medically assisted,
Mm,
so that they don't, because it can be fatal.
mm,
Withdrawals can also be fatal.
mm,
Then there is the 2 months program. Then there is the recommended 90 days program, and then there is also the 180 days program. There is a 1 year program as well, and it can even be longer depending on what the person needs. But this is how it really works. Just like any other disease, people somehow think that because it's an addiction, when you go to rehabilitation and you've been there for say 3 months or 6 months, automatically you're supposed to come out when you're crisp.
yeah.
But like any other disease, even malaria, you fall ill, they give you the right medication in the right dose, they even add you extra, and then it can recur
Mm,
in a week or two,
mm,
even in a month. You see, depending. So what happens is that when a person leaves a treatment plan or program, then they are on trial leave, if I may call it, to see how they respond, especially in the world. Now they have been in an enclosed area, now how do they respond to the world? Now you have given them all the tools that you know how to help them. How are they using those tools to live? So if it doesn't work and the person falls back, what are you supposed to do? Take them back. If they need a forced
that's again.
intervention, same thing, take them back. Now, people tend to think that it has not worked because they'll tell you, but we have taken him to rehab before.
Mm,
And then you ask, okay, take him to rehab. Then you find out the history. Which one, what kind of treatment was he getting? How long was he there for? Things of that nature. And then you'll be like, you suggest something that you believe would work because that is an assessment in itself. If a person gives up when someone has gotten uh, the first cycle of treatment, that is failure. So we need to start relating mental challenges to physical challenges. In almost every way are they similar. The difference is that physical challenges can be visually seen. Mental challenges
and
are not, they are
unseen.
felt. You see, they are felt. Now, it so happens that because the mental challenges are not visible, you cannot see that this is bipolar, you cannot see that this is depression. It is the way the person responds that makes you say, oh, this is depression or this is bipolar. Because of that, people actually live with it. And that is what is destroying families. People live with it. They are just not understanding. The wife is saying, I don't understand my husband. The husband is saying, I don't understand my wife. The son is saying, I don't understand my father. The father is saying, I don't understand my son. But what's wrong with our sister? I don't know what's happening to her. Then we start finding reasons. But I think ever since the loss of that part, their husband, that is why they are behaving like this. They will come, it will go. Is what I mean. Nobody will be like, why don't you find somebody who understands these things to help you deal with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Then the person will start drinking, for instance, which is my specialty. And then when they start drinking, I think it's okay, they're drinking because they have so.
They are mourning.
Then it continues, then it gets worse, then it gets worse. And then now when it's so bad, you start looking for what to do. yet you actually saw it coming.
Yeah.
The longer it goes on, the
The
more
harder
difficult it is to deal with.
to deal with.
And not only that, it is expensive. There is nobody, for instance, rehabilitation inpatient costs an average of 2.5 going up million per month. Okay, let me just say an
Per
average of
month.
2.5 per month. Why? Because the person needs to be fed on a healthy diet, because during addiction, usually someone neglects
Yeah,
their
not
diet.
eating well.
Then there are utilities, risky water that we use. Then there is
The doctors.
the doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists if required. There are all those things attached to it, that now to make the person get a wholesome recovery. And not only, and then it is now the family too manage those expenses
Yeah.
without,
And sometimes they
unfortunately,
can't afford.
they can't afford. Without, unfortunately, government help, because the government is supposed to
Yeah,
subsidize
subsidize.
the money that is
Yeah.
collected from the brewers and
The causers.
the hosers, let's put it that way, is supposed, a portion of it, of that
Should go
tax
into
is
rehabilitation.
supposed to go into rehabilitation. And then it in most countries that do it, it subsidizes at least half of the treatment costs for the person in the rehabilitation.
Have you ever suggested that to
Oh yes,
either
I
the
have.
breweries or to government?
No, you don't go to the breweries. We cannot deal with the breweries ourselves directly. You see,
Yeah.
that is supposed to be our government dealing
Yeah.
dealing with it. Yeah, I have tried a couple of things. Me personally, 2016, I was involved in the recovery walk, which is supposed to raise awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once in a while, try to get in touch with authorities to tell them that give this attention. When they let Dr. Shilange Navanji, who was my mentor, she would, she would really try to lobby. She helped us bring a mental health uh, bill, to the table. But unfortunately, much as I think it was passed, the anything about alcohol, I mean addiction and rehabilitation wasn't really touched on. So right now we keep trying to do whatever we can, but the voices are still low. They will remain low until the people start accepting that actually it is a problem.
I think, yeah, that's what I was about to say, that I think it starts with society.
It starts with society.
Because if society accepts and says, you know what, it's a problem, and it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
I know someone who is doing well, he has acquired a lot of wealth, and he's elderly now. And he's trying he wanted the family to get involved so that, I mean, he can give way for his family, for the kids. But three of his kids are all under abuse, alcohol and drugs. And it really breaks his heart. But he's been taking them abroad. I think they fall out, fall out. And it is so painful. I mean, you've done so much, you've built an empire, but you have no one to take it to. That's why it needs to be dealt with. It's there, it's real. These people who bring in these things, apart from the breweries, people are bringing in drugs, are there. They are there, it's now a business and it's killer money. But they are killing our generation, they're killing our children, they're killing us. And people are there taking them behind quietly, but you see the effect after.
Yeah.
Someone who used to be steady, someone who used to be upright, someone, like what happened to this person. When they start talking, they go off cool behind, they are actually not okay. They're not okay, but because society points fingers, there's a way in which society treats these people that they can't come out and say, you know what, I think I need help. Because they are scared what happens after when they are going back into society. Society still looks at you differently. I'm sure you've witnessed that.
Mm. Yeah.
So unopiria umusinzi unkabira umusinzi imibira umusinzi kati and they don't allow you to actually recover.
Mm.
It's very hard someone to come and say, you know what, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
Or you know what, I have issues. People hide their issues and die with them kabisa and they bury them.
Yeah.
So you need also to talk about that.
Yes. There's a very big problem with people first and foremost acknowledging that the problem needs any kind of help. There is the belief, like I mentioned earlier, that it's a moral problem and therefore someone should snap out of it. You even hear things like people saying that, get over it. It's about time. No one thinks that the professional has something to offer. They'll be like, what? After all, I'm not going to go there and they give me medication. So what am I going there to do? What are they going to tell me that I don't already know?
That you don't know.
What are they going to tell my son? Like you've given that example that I don't already know. And also there is that belief that in Uganda things don't work. These are psychological problems. If they are within this culture, I'm living within this culture, there is no better person that could understand them than a person who is living within this culture. So the remedies that a psychologist would give me if I am living in Uganda and I go for a psychologist in the United Kingdom, I don't see how it would work
It
because
can't,
it's really
because the environments are different,
responses are different, cultures are different, and we always find that, and people will be like, no, I can't bring my person here to say a Ugandan psychologist. There is somebody who told me that no, there is some American lady who does counseling. I think I should go and investigate her help. I'm like, Butabika has got so many. I can pick from one for you that can manage. No. So those are some of the problems. But also, there is also the problem of the stigma where when someone comes out of treatment, they're imagined to be worse than a person who is still there.
Yeah.
When I was starting the Bekunda recovery homes, it was very interesting. I was going through some of my friends and people that I know to tell them about the service I'm going to offer. So I'm like, I'm going to make a home which is amongst homes, no guarded gate where they can't come out. They'll be living amongst people, and these are guys who are coming from the rehab to integrate into society. And then the first person asked me, "You're taking bad people amongst normal people?" And it really got me
That's
thinking.
so mean.
Yes. I said, no, they are not mad people. They are normal people who have just been made better. But on top of that, the addicts who have not gotten any form of help or understanding of their problem are living comfortably amongst people in homes, in flats,
And these ones who are actually
Yes.
have accepted and are trying to change
They are the ones you're saying.
are the ones you're shunning.
Yes. So there is that thing. Also, there is the question of relapse. Uh, Addiction is chronic, is characterized by loss of control, and it is a chronic relapsing disease. And therefore, if anybody gets to know that I was an addict, it can be used against me if I'm getting a job. Question is, can you relapse? Yes, you can relapse. It is evidence based. So why do we take that risk?
Yeah.
You see, forgetting that even your ability to work and make money and be productive is what keeps you off falling back. You see what I'm saying? So the person who is suffering looks ahead and says, there is too much to suffer there. And that is why we need to educate people to understand what the problem is. If someone says, I have a mental health challenge, it shouldn't be, oh, that one is running mad.
I know.
No,
The
I am
stigma is too
depressed. Oh
much.
my God, it's as if depression is.
Yeah. And yet depression is so possible. I mean, there's a lot life, there's a lot of challenges in life.
Everybody has depression.
And exactly. And
It is part
it's
of
just on
human
how you
survival.
handle it.
It is part of human survival. If there was no depression, there would be no remorse. I remember these are the words one psychiatrist friend of mine was telling me. It's called Dr. Pamizo. And he was saying, he was like, we can't, if there was no anxiety, who would pass exams? You have to be anxious to be able to do something about it. Depression brings remorse, it reminds you, it brings humanity to the picture.
Actually, it brings humanity.
Yeah, because you imagine
Yeah.
somebody passes away,
Yeah,
there's no
and-
depression,
yeah,
and you're all like, that's life.
Yeah.
You
Actually,
see?
that person is sick.
Yeah.
That
So
one is a sick one.
exactly. So basically,
You find someone maybe laughing at a barrier, and,
like we are going in the same direction. So the thing is this, that it is not about depression, it's not about anxiety, it's not about bipolar, because everybody does get angry and does get happy.
Yeah.
It is only about how fast does that
Yeah,
happen,
yeah,
is how fast does
yeah.
the mood change. The only thing is how deep does it go? How long do you stay in it? How do you deal with it? Because those are things that we need. If people did understand that it is normal, it would be then be normal to say, like you'd be like, someone will tell you, I'm not feeling well, I'm feeling feverish, I'm going to see a doctor. I am not feeling happy, I'm not feeling fine.
Yeah.
Let me go and
Yes.
see a
Yeah.
psychologist.
I think that mentality would create such a relief, because it would reduce the amount of seeking solace in other ways. You're like, okay, these psychologists are there. Lately I'm not happy. Maybe either I'm dealing with loss, or I'm dealing with disappointment, or I'm dealing with financial issues. And you're like, who can I talk to? And let me tell you, most people, I realize, they don't talk to other people, like their colleagues, their mates, because they fear what is society going to think about them.
Yes. Not only that, they don't believe it's a worthwhile expenditure. I'm going to pay somebody to sit and talk with them. You know, it's a little bit interesting that in the first world, it's like sometimes they even call them shrinks. People
Therapies,
exchange shrinks.
yeah,
Oh, who is a
yeah,
shrink? Oh, I'm
yeah,
going to see a therapist. I'm going to.
therapist. It's okay.
And it's beginning now to deal with their issues, because I imagine
If you don't talk about it,
if they didn't have those
there'll be a lot of suicide.
it would be much worse, and we are getting there. You see, we are getting there. In Uganda, I find some researchers which talk about suicide and all that, things we don't hear about. We see pictures of children being beaten. We see
You beat your child to death.
yes,
You've not been okay.
yes, we are seeing these rapes.
Rape.
I don't. There are so many things that are happening, but people are taking them to be normal life. When you watch Bekunda, you realize that people are actually
sick.
this is normal. For them, it's the news.
Because I've been seeing soldiers shooting around. Someone stands at the street and shoots.
Yes.
Anyone passing by, randomly. This person has been sick.
Yes, they're sick. You see, because something has gone so wrong, they have nowhere to turn to. The human being has to release. So until we destigmatize, stigma kills, until we destigmatize, until we understand the value, and this is the most important, I think, aspect of this talk, I believe, because understanding mental health issues is a long process. The most important, number one, what I want people to get is this. When one person has a mental health challenge, if I may call it that, it's better that way. Everybody around them suffers. And then, like a pandemic, the person next to you gets affected from one head to the next. I have talked about it to so many when we are dealing with addictions, but also with the mental health challenges. if I am depressed, I will pass my depression on to you because
That's
I will
true.
respond to you negatively.
Yeah, yeah. That's
If
true.
it's in anger, I will come and
Yeah.
shout at you
Yeah.
because I'm trying to find a
Yeah.
release. I'll not even understand why you don't understand
Yeah.
me. Now, if you're a working person and I'm done who is in depression, we are going to have a disagreement over my issue because I'm angry. Then you will take that anger to work. You'll not even be able to think.
You can't.
You see, when it
You
comes
pass it on to the kids.
you pass it on to the kids, you pass it on to the
The
neighbors.
kids are also not happy, by the way. They go to
Exactly.
school, you notice the kids are not happy.
Uh-huh.
The teachers start asking, so what's happening? Kumbe it started with the dad, it went to mom, it went to
Exactly.
the kids.
And then the kid will bring it back to you now. Now the kid is not performing, you get even angry. Basically, it is a whole jungle of chaos. When it comes to substance abuse, you blame yourself. This is what we call the codependent effect, whereby you get attached to the person's problems. You're lying for them, you're trying to cover up for them, you're trying to defend them. When it comes to take them for help, you'll be like, no, my son has not reached that level. That is the most common thing. My son cannot be in rehab. He's not yet that bad. Okay. You have said he's not yet that bad, meaning that he will get that bad. You see, that denial that we are having, it is now, that is spread like wildfire. And then you find these ones feeling sorry for the other one getting angry with this one is blaming that one, the other one is feeling sorry for this one. Now in my home, I also have my own problem. Mine is addiction, yours is depression, the other one is anxiety.
That's
and
true.
then you say we are going to
It's
the
a
marketplace
cocktail,
to earn money. So you get a jumble of people coming into the office, especially this big organization. I ask myself one question. Why are people willing to do anything before they get a job? And when they start a job, they start cursing the job.
That's true. They undervalue that. They don't even care.
You reach there, and then you start finding so many things within the job that otherwise cause you also to change. So it no longer becomes that thing that you actually wanted before. It becomes something
Dreading
else.
something you want to
So you dread it, you don't want to work, you don't want, there is no enthusiasm because now you're finding there are people who are abusive, you're finding there are people. So the money you are looking for is no longer valid to you. And so you say, I'm looking for another place. You go to the field, you get workers. Let's say you decide to go into farming. I think the last video I saw from Manzi was, I think it was farming.
Farming.
And yes, so the people you're employing to work in the fields, they are drinking. As soon as you give them salary, they are getting drunk. How are you going to manage? You don't even understand it. Sometimes you say, let me help my relatives to come out of this and all that. And then you're frustrated.
Then you get frustrated
Now,
because things go wrong everywhere they are going wrong.
Exactly. And this is my advice because we don't need to run to government to yambe all the time. That if people started to understand about these mental health issues, the first thing I would do before looking for motivational speakers to come and what are they called? Those every year you have those motivational.
Motivational speakers.
No, we have companies. What do they do?
Those
Big team building.
Team builders.
The most important aspect of team building is always left out. They are in entertainment.